Welcome back to The Advisor. Please do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button so we can continue to provide you with amazing content like we're about to today. So, what if you could treat every single feeling as a neon bright arrow showing you exactly where to go next? So that's the magic that our guest has cracked wide open. Her name is Vera Helleman. She's coming in from the Netherlands, and she literally wrote the Encyclopedia of Emotions, discovered the groundbreaking Emotion Codex, and founded the Emotion Expertise Center. So her work turns messy moods into a step-by-step GPS for your life. She's an internationally sought after speaker, famous across the Netherlands and Belgium for lovingly calling out the bullshit stories that keep us stuck. And she replaces them with pure, actionable truth. And she didn't just stop at emotion, she built practical models like the 8 emotion groups and the 3 pillars of autism that therapists, coaches, and parents now swear by. So buckle up. By the end of this conversation, you'll know how to read your feelings like a pro, ditch the drama, and step into the most aligned version of yourself. It is so nice to meet you.
Thank you. That was a nice introduction.
Well, it's you. I got it from your website.
And did a sort of yourself around it. Yes, it sounded very good. Thank you for that.
Mm. Yeah, you're
It's
welcome.
true.
Thank you so much for being here. Oh my God, it's so fun to get to meet you. You're in the Netherlands and I'm in Canada, and we're here because we're connected by energy. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
We are connected by energy, and everyone who listens too. Yes, it's easily to tune in and to feel the conversation, and not only listen to it, also feel it. Yes.
Why don't you introduce yourself from your words for the audience?
Well, that's a hard part always. I'm Vera Helleman. I'm an emotion expert, and but yes, I've made a model, a structure of our emotional compass, our emotional guidance system, which actually uses emotions to get to learn how energy works. So it is layered. So it is also a way of, as you say, come out of out of the dirt and your struggles. But it's more than that. It's also um, it is rooted in actually the energetic template of creation itself. So it is a fantastic way of, yeah, integrating and learning actually the missing piece. If I look at society, integrating with this knowledge is actually the missing piece, what we need to integrate, because we are far more walking heads and drives by greed and emotions are for most people things that we want to get rid of because they're annoying, they hurt, they are inconvenient, and but they are so fantastic, accurate tools to that gives us feedback on everything that we experience and think and believe and do. So
Mm,
yes.
yes, and what I used to do is if I felt any type of, I guess, a negative emotion or something that someone would consider negative, I would try and run from it. So when I was like in the problem and not fully feeling my emotions, I'd feel some sort of anxiety. And then I would do a million things to try and distract myself from it. And I think that's what a lot of people do is they try and distract their mind from it, which almost makes it worse. It like amplifies it, right?
It
So what
does,
do you think
because
of about that?
it does. It's one of the pitfalls in about coping with emotions, and why it amplifies is because the emotion needs to be heard. So if you don't want to listen, it needs to work harder to get you listened. And if you don't listen to the emotions, it will structure in your body. and make you sick. So it really wants to help you. It wants to help you balance. It wants to help you go forward with what you intend to do here on earth. And when you don't listen, yes, it needs to shout. So suppressing emotions is one way a lot of people cope with, but a lot of people also put it, they ventilate it onto other people. It's not mine, it's yours. So that also doesn't work. So we run around it, fleeing from it, and it is very scary for people to really connect with it, to really let the emotion come into your system, experience it. And actually, that is a basic stance towards emotions, to be able to listen to them.
So does every emotion have a different energy, or can you talk to us about what emotions and energy mean? What does that mean?
Yes, and what they do, what they have to do with each other. So emotions are energy in motion, as everything is, because everything is always emotion. So emotions are energy, and seen from the emotion codex, it are emotional forces. There are 8 emotional forces who act differently, who have also a different purpose. So in our lives. So together, these 8 emotion groups, some emotion groups, let me explain to you what emotion groups are, because we only know basic emotions and, well, secondary emotions, primary emotions, you know all that. So emotion groups is actually a new term, and it is a cluster of different kinds of emotions, positive as well as negative. So, for example, when we have emotion group love, of course, love is one emotion that is in this emotion group, but also grateful, but also loneliness and greed, actually, missing someone. So they are all derived from the same emotional force. So whether you are glided from the ladder of an emotion group or climb up the ladder has to do with whether how much you are aligned with your true essence. So when we lose ourselves, when we believe things or do things or interact with things that aren't good for us or aren't resonating with our true selves, this emotion actually wants to warn us. It wants to warn us, hey, something is going on. You're slipping, you're gliding off the ladder, and you need to stay here because then we are in balance. So it's actually a system that is sometimes breathing out, sometimes breathing in, and keeps us our whole energy field in balance.
So how do we
Yes.
know if
Mhm.
we're not in alignment with an emotion? What types of signs does our body give us?
Well, actually, it is an ongoing process, day and night. So it is very simple. Once you are awake and vigilant about the guidance that emotions want to give you, you are immediately alarmed when an emotion cramps or gives you restlessness or something like that. So negative emotions actually are wake-up calls that something is going on inside of you. So what I always do and teach people is when an emotion comes up that needs your attention, stop the time, look inwards, know what it's telling you, and change your inner world or change your relationship with something in the outer world or in your mind or whatever the emotion wants to tell you. So there are 8 different kinds of messages, traits, pitfalls, also correlated life themes. It's a system of actually understanding life itself, human life.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I get it. So, um, I know in the past when I was stuck in a negative cycle, I would continuously put myself in situations that I knew weren't aligned with me, whether it was a job that I wasn't aligned with or another person. And I remember like always feeling tired or always feeling exhausted or anxious or irritable. But then it got worse. Then it got to the point of like actually making me physically ill. Like my body started reacting. And so, can you explain to the audience, like, what happens when we continuously put ourselves in a situation that we're not in alignment with, and what the possible effect of that could cause in our bodies?
Yes. And not only in our bodies, also in our emotional system, because when you do something that isn't good for you and continuously ignoring all the emotional signals that want to burn you, you are in a constant state of disbalance. And of course, in the first place, that makes you unhappy or irritated or exhausted, everything. So, and then when you still don't listen, it will act out in the body. So, sicknesses is also the body is actually an expression of your energetic body. So, I'd like to solve it in the energetic body and not in the physical body, because you're earlier when you do it energetically.
Mm.
So this is what happens. So we don't like disbalance. We like balance. So this balance doesn't feel right. And yes, the I think the human is the only species that ignores itself so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, when you are really in a dangerous situation, or sometimes you have to. And you also see animals doing that. When they are attacked, they need to collect everything that they have and fight or flee or something like that. And after that, they are exhausted. But they take rest as long as it needed, and then they are in balance again. But we, silly people, continuously are in a state of fight flight mode.
Yes.
And that is so not needed. Yes, sometimes it's needed. So the first thing is, of course, you need to stay safe. And because we live in a well, sort of safe situation nowadays, we can look inward, heal ourselves, and work on balance. But people are so silly with all our stories and all our identifying mechanisms and differentiate with other people that we think we are in a constantly attack, but it doesn't true.
Yes.
Yes,
I love how you said that humans are the only species that doesn't listen. It's so true because as right before you said that, I'm like, why do we do that to ourselves? I don't know. For me, I feel like part of it is just the societal pressures, the way we were raised. We were raised that, we're all fighting for abundance, we're all fighting for all of this stuff. Meanwhile, the universe has unlimited, endless, boundless abundance. Like, why are we competing with each other? Why are we doing these things that make us feel crappy? Yeah, it's just so bizarre.
yes, and in somehow it is normal to identify ourselves and do all those things and distinguish ourselves from other, because it actually there's one emotion group, one emotional force that says to do that. That is his task, to give you the experience of an individual. But it is for most people not in balance with the rest of the emotion groups. So that's when the problem rises, because of yes, with our programs that say, for example, it is wrong to think about yourself,
Mm.
but there's an inner drive that wants to look out for ourselves. So it's continuously a fight between inner beliefs and what drives us. Yes, people are so complex.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
it's not
how,
easier. Yeah.
so, sorry, I interrupted. I was just going to ask you, like, how do we tune in and actually listen? Like, for the busy mom out there that's running around and wants to feel more connected to herself and her emotions, how do you teach people to connect or reconnect to their emotions? What are
Yes,
some simple things?
actually, that needs a little bit of bravery.
Mm,
So the thing is, what I try to do is explain that emotions are allies and not enemies. So, and I, of course, explain and also show that it is possible to reach happiness, that it's possible to reach inner peace. So, on some point, you have to trust me on that, and then take a chance and be brave and face it. So I can guide you by give you all these tools and knowledge, so you are capable of facing it. And we start with not fear, not panic. We don't start with that because we don't want people to lose themselves. But the moment that you are interested, curious, willing, and brave enough to face, you have done 50% of the work.
Yeah.
So it all starts with willingness and interest, because from that moment you are open for a connection with your feelings. And it actually just needs that choice in the beginning, the willingness to feel. Then, of course, when you open the flow of feeling or the current of feeling, it can happen that negative feelings come in. And then maybe we get scared and immediately put the how do you say it, the cover on the pot and suppress it again. But that's okay. Then I teach you it's okay. You will not be killed by your emotions. And actually, emotions only stay with you maximum 90 seconds, but only if you get rid of the story that was attached by it. So
What do you
just,
mean by that?
for example, when I believe I'm not worthy, I did something
Mm,
bad, I did something not good, and then they don't like me anymore, it gives an emotional cramp.
okay.
So when I'm willing to connect with that feeling, what most people do is they connect with the belief.
Mm,
But the feeling actually is just the energetic cramp. So when you focus on the energetic part and not the mental part of the emotion, then when you're willing to feed it, you are no longer holding on to it. And then it slowly dissolves.
mm. So it releases. That's how it releases from your body.
Yes, but if you still believe the belief, it
Okay.
it has to come back because there's something else that needs to be done with the belief.
Right. So we can we can't trick our bodies, but we can reprogram our thoughts. So for me, I when I find myself going down a negative pattern, I like to reframe my thoughts and reconnect to how I want to be feeling. So it's like visualization, and and it takes a lot of practice because for a long time I believed in, success. I believe I was going to find my soulmate. I believe in this stuff, but my body truly didn't feel it because I could feel that disconnect. It was almost like my mind and my visualizations were saying, okay, that's beautiful, but my body was calling bullshit. And so then
Yes,
I'm like, oh, and it humbles you because then it's like you have to go back and continue working on it to connect and reconnect and keep that vision strong. But it's definitely not an easy thing to do. So I'm curious, what is your story? How did you get here today to be teaching other people about this? Because I know for a fact that you have a story.
yes, I do. Well, actually, maybe that story begins before I was born
Yeah.
because I really believe that I was born to do this. And I got all these memories about before I was born. So I see myself in a different uh, surrounding, being an energetic master teaching children. And so the first memory I got when I was a child, or of somehow 3 years old, I was walking. No, we were going outside, me and my mom, And I always perceived the world energetically. So I scanned her energy and she was totally fine. So we went outside and I held my mother's hand. And then we met the neighbor. She was also just went out of her house. And they were talking to each other. And I was ignored because I was a very quiet child. And they were talking to each other. And really, within 2 minutes, they went from totally fine to totally distressed. And it was such a huge difference that I really was surprised. What is happening over here? So from that moment on, I was curious, I was obsessed, I was fascinated by why do people harm themselves? Because he was fine, neighbor was also fine, and they somehow choose to be not fine. So I studied people, I observed them, I never talked. When I was young, until, well, maybe 15-year-olds, I very little spoke. I observed, observed, observed. And then I have had a very difficult adolescence period. And I always stayed very interested in psychology, in spirituality. So I learned, lived very, very fast. And then I got all these downloads. First about non duality, about who I really was, later about emotions, and even more later about the codex, which actually came to me as ancient knowledge symbols. And I need to unpack those. So I have a lot of anecdotes, I have a lot of stories, but I think when you ask me this, I would say the story begins before I was born, because I was born to do this.
Mm. What do
Yes.
you mean by download?
Well, I have a clairvoyant skill, so I have the capacity of tuning in into the field of information, the collective field of information, and um, yes, it was downloaded. So there was, maybe it was an echo. I was interested in emotions. Actually, uh, that some kind of idea comes into your mind is also not a coincidence. But it was in a split second that this huge download came to me, and this is also what I do with people. I can watch their energy. I can walk along with where they focus on and see all this discrepancy between what they believe and what is true and who they truly are and how this wants to be released. And so, yeah, download of information. It was a download of information.
So it's almost like tuning into the frequency, your frequency, and getting information from the universe.
Yes, yes. And because it was an echo, I also sent out my curiosity about the subject. And that was
Right.
emotions, because that is my blueprint. Yes.
Mm. So when you're working with clients who want to connect to themselves, like give us an example of how you would work with them to reconnect to themselves.
Yes. I don't work one-on-one with clients. I only do a large audience and invite people in front of the room. So that's what I do. These things. And actually, I go directly to the emotional pain, because the emotions reveal to us what our present state is of our inner world. So we don't have to go back to trauma. We don't have to ask lots of questions. I only have to ask, what emotions do you experience lately? And I dive directly into the emotional triggers. And actually, that explains a lot about how this person suppresses itself, or what needs to be done, or what needs to be seen, or needs to be released, or whatever. So it's actually very simple. I also explained it in the emotion coaching method. Also teaches coaches in doing this.
Can you tell
Because
if someone's not being honest with you about how they're really feeling?
Yes, because I don't especially listen to their words, but I look also to the non-verbal communication. I search for emotions. So the emotion is honest. The mind is often not.
Hmm.
So the
Why do you
emotion,
think that is?
well, well, why it is, it's just the capacity, it's the way the mind works and the way people work, the way emotions work. So emotions are energetic, so they are actually a mediator between soul and our human consciousness. Our mind produces informations, and we as human people think we have a choice. And despite what's good for us, sometimes we choose what's not good for us.
Mm, yep.
That's how it works. It's all about identification. So it's all about what's in it for me, for my identity, for my image. And it really goes far if you once you understand this identifying principle. But emotions are true. Emotions reveal all that. So I
Yeah.
search for emotions.
Yeah, I imagine like, when you're talking to a really bad salesperson and you can feel that they're not being honest with you, like it's almost like the person becomes, yeah, you're right, like their body language, they're closed off, their eye contact, they seem nervous. People who aren't being honest. But when you get into the emotional stuff, I know like for myself, I can only speak from my experience. When I was going through my darkest times with a mentor, it's almost like I felt like if I said the truth out loud, that it would become real. Then I would actually have to face it, right? So it's like it's
Mhm.
not fun. It's scary as heck to actually say something out loud that in your body you feel on such a deep level. So I think fear might play a part in it too. And I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head with like the ego. We're constantly in this battle with our ego and the pressures of society and how we're supposed to be thinking, feeling, acting. Um, Being authentic is not super easy. And that term is being thrown out so much these days is like how to be your most authentic self. I think we need to redefine what that means. And I think you're redefining what that means. It's exactly that. It's feeling and being in stillness and listening versus chasing and trying to find it.
Yes, well, in my experience, it can be very easy once you understand how it works. Actually,
Hmm.
it's far more easy than playing a role for society.
Yeah,
But but the trick is that you don't identify with everything that you think you are, but with the more authentic self.
mm. Oh, I love
So
that.
yeah, so in my vision, I don't have a soul. I am a soul and I have a human.
Got it.
So
Yeah, you're not your body. I get that. Yeah, like we are not our bodies.
yes, and not our minds and not our personalities, but we also are. So from the connection with the consciousness and the soul that you are, it is far less serious. The human thing is far less serious and of service to you. And also,
Mm,
what's very important to be genuine is again emotions, because when you get easy with discomfort, there's nothing that can harm you. So letting emotional negative emotions come to you and experience that they don't longer stay than 90 seconds, and after that you will experience peace, then nothing is too much. But yes, I think you have to understand that there's nothing that you can lose. A lot of people are in a state that they can lose a lot. And the worst thing that you can lose is your image. Once you're over that, actually you are, uh, uh, yeah, you're ready to start with working with the emotional forces.
as you're talking, I'm picturing like plugs being unplugged, like completely disconnecting, completely remaining unattached, which is also easier said than done. But I think you're right, as if we look at these situations as like temporary, if we don't define ourselves by the titles, which is another thing that like society, you go on social media and everybody has all these names plastered under themselves and I often wonder, I'm like, who is this person actually? And I think the best mentors that I have, their genuine personality shines through, even though they could be queen of the world. It doesn't matter. Like, you would never know. They're just who they are. And I think that is one of the most attractive qualities that a human can exude.
Yes, but you can recognize it because you have some kind of transparency. But a lot
Mhm.
of people don't. Only the people who want to be themselves and have a slightly view of transparency, they can recognize it. And other people, well, maybe they are more attracted to large stories and blown up
Oh,
images and yes.
interesting. Can you say more about that? So everyone is connected to different things. What are you saying?
Well, we also all have our own path. So you will be attracted by role models or challenges of the opposite. And
Okay,
actually, we meet ourselves in the outer world because the outer world is a projection of our inner world. So the
right.
moment that we get emotionally triggered or happy from a meeting in our outer world, it does something to us, and it has a meaning to us, and also a message to us. So it's very nice to understand that. That also helps to be genuine. To understand that your outer world is a projection, so you will only meet yourself. So um, that's when it shifted inside of me. I wrote this line somewhere in a book, and it said, "You will meet yourself in the other," and it suddenly hit me. Oh wow, there is no other. And
Mm,
so I jumped immediately into the non-duality state. So so you can be yourself, learn to be yourself, but it has nothing to do with skills or defining who you are. It has to do with the connection with a deeper layer of yourself. And it's actually only from that point of view, I call that a position of observer, when you can change your beliefs. Because when you look from the position of the identification with the human personality, you are your beliefs. And from the position of observer or soul perspective, you have beliefs who are of service to you.
okay.
And in between are the emotions. And the emotions, we feel all those beliefs and also your interaction with the outer world because 90% of our beliefs are unconscious, even for the awake ones. And lots of them are totally fine because they define our worlds. But the moment that you grow further because everything is continuously in motion, then an emotion sometimes, then we hit a belief that doesn't serve us anymore, and then emotion will tell us that one needs to change.
So it's like outgrowing a life, like you're in a certain spot and then you outgrow it, and then the universe gives you the next stage.
Yes, yes, we are continuously growing, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not, in my vision, it is not that we need to grow to something. We need to grow to be ourselves and give expression to ourselves because the expression of ourselves is the purpose we have in life as a part of the collective consciousness that we are. So, first of all, we think that it's all about us. Then
Mm. Yeah.
social etiquette say it cannot be only about you because you have to think about others. And then we
Yeah.
role play for ourselves because we want to be loved by the others. So it's still about us.
Yeah.
But the moment you reach the state that you really understand and recognize who you are, it's not about you anymore, but it is about the purpose you have for the collective, and it is lived through you.
Mm,
So, and that is actually what they mean by living from your inner flow. And consciously, emotion help us to define what the flow is, to understand it. Because a lot of
right.
people talk about flow, but few people really feel it and continuously follow it.
Mm. Yeah, it's a feeling like no other. And it's funny because if I am in flow, I always think, I never want this to end. Please don't leave. But I know it's nothing is infinite, right? So it's like the best feeling in the world. It can be, I compare it to like runner's high. You know, I don't know if you've ever been a runner, but I used to run and it would be like around the 20-minute mark where I felt like I could run for the rest of my life. And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
just this feeling of total bliss, like nothing mattered and I was just so whole in that moment. But yeah, flow is it's definitely an interesting state to be in.
Yes, what a nice comparison. I know that feeling. It's like walking on air. Yes, it is. And the next stage is uh, that when this ends and some challenges face in your outer world, and it needs some inner work to do, actually understanding while this is happening, and be curious about what this will reveal and how you will grow. So then you reach a state that even in the times that your human suffers, you are curious and excited about how it will reveal and what it will reveal itself. So there's an underlying unconscious acceptance and liveness about living.
Totally. I relate that literally last night. I was having a leaving a voice note for one of my Reiki master, and I said to him, um, even when I'm crying, I'm almost excited about it because I know my body's releasing, and I'm like, oh my God, yay! Like I get excited. I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out, but really, I'm excited because I know my body's getting rid of something, and there's something magical on the other side of it. So it's something really powerful, and I think the audience like really benefit from this viewpoint of negative or challenging seasons open up bright doors. So there's always something on the other side. It's like you climb a mountain and then you could see the beautiful sunset or the sunrise. But you have to go through these things.
Yes, and it is faster when you understand why, because then you can hear the signals of your emotions and walk along with where they want you to go. But a lot of people, because they resist the emotions and want to stay in the same as always, they resist growing. So when you know what's happening, you know what it asks of you, it's easier to go along with it and yeah, be willing in what it asks from you, and of course also have the curiosity and the wonder about why. Yes, so
Yeah,
that's what the codex actually gives us.
got it. Okay. Um, it's always been such a pet peeve of mine when I meet someone or, past relationships where my partner at that time had zero desire to change their lives. And I've always had this ability to see potential in people. I just believe in people so much, and it just drove me nuts. Drove me absolutely nuts. Like, why would you want to stay in the same it's not serving you. Why are you challenging or why are you not changing it? But then I look at my own life and I've stayed in very terrible scenarios for longer than I should. And I think it happens to all of us. We get comfortable.
Yes, and also the irritation or whatever about other people don't wanting to change also is a challenge for us. So it is all about us.
Yeah. yes, exactly. Is a trigger for me to say, well, if you're annoyed with them not changing, it's because I'm not changing something. And then I had to change.
Well, or maybe uh, you don't accept a period of non-changing. So it
Right.
is, yeah, the outer world is not always a mirror. It is a projection. So it's often the other way around than what we aim to do.
Mm,
So for example, if you think someone is egoistic, people are afraid, does that mean I'm also egoistic? But that's not true. It's actually the trigger is so large to be egoistic that those people do everything to avoid that, which resulted a lot of times in don't think about themselves while they should. So
got
that's a
it.
difference between a projection and a mirror.
Can we talk about something briefly on the darker side of things? So I know there's a lot of suffering in the world. So why do you think that, you know, really scary things come into our worlds or things that, like narcissists or encounters with people like that, like the psychopaths of the world that come into our lives? Why do you think that happens?
Well, when I listen to you, for me, it isn't, how do I say that? It's, it might not be true because is it true that it encounters our world, not mine? So what we should do is look in our own square mile what really enters our life. And the way we examine this is by feeling where our emotions get negative, they cramp or so. Uh, it is not the negative things in our life that we need to question. It is what we experience as negative, we need to inquire. Because those are all those projections which we need to heal. And the interesting thing of this time lapse is that it's all in the open. You can find everything that triggers you on the internet or wherever. You can find any story that resonates with you. So search the stories that you trigger on emotionally and do the work inside. Because when you get at peace with those triggers, you don't have to project them in the outer world. So when everyone reaches a state of peace, there will be peace in the world. So we cannot say, why is this happening, what I see on the internet? I will always say, well, what do you think about it and how do you feel about it? Because that's the work.
Right, right. So those are just tests of to see like how our body reacts to it so we can reflect more on, I guess, the things that we want and we don't want.
Well, I don't see them as tests actually. I see them just as how creation works.
Mm,
So whatever we suppress or ignore or not accept is shown in the outer world.
got it.
It is as easy as that. It's not right or wrong. It's just projection.
Right.
But how you experience is your definition of right or wrong and what you need to do with it or may do with it. It's your choice.
Mm, beautiful. Can you tell us more about your work, where people can look for you and find you, and more about what you do?
Yeah, so I made the emotion codex map. It is actually, I can show it for the people who look at internet. It is actually like a Merkaba. It's an ancient symbol, and these are the ocean, eight emotional forces. And I wrote a program. It's called the Emotion Mastery Program, which contains 10 courses about each emotion group and emotions in itself, and also the emotion coaching method, which you can follow through memberships. And every week I'm there in the Q and emotion. to give you feedback on all your emotional struggles. So you can also ask me anything. So actually, it's a guided transformative program of 1.5 years. So you can find it on theemotioncodex.com.
Amazing. Before we say goodbye today, do you have any last minute thoughts that you want to leave the audience with about our conversation today?
Yeah. So um, what comes into my mind right now is letting you know um, that you're not alone. But when you are brave enough, you do something and do the inquiry inside. You do so much for all of us. It is not about the work you do in the economy. It's not about your protest. It's not about what's your purpose. But the utmost important thing is when you reach peace inside of yourself, you clear the energetic collective field for all of us. So we are in some kind of brother and sisterhood in this. We're all in this together. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's been so much fun talking to you about energy. And it's just, yeah, this stuff gives me chills.
Yes, it's your thing. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We hope you will come back.
Yes, let's see.
And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. As Vera said, tune into yourself, tune into your emotions, tune into your body, and start to feel and understand your purpose on this earth. To find out more about Vera's work, we will have her links linked for you in the show notes. Until next time, have a good day, everyone. Happy seeking.